there, Kristin Cooper here, your certified mortgage planning specialist, your mortgage mom, and I'm so excited to put this presentation together today. I think that one of the biggest struggles in our society today is debt, and the average household is carrying a lot of debt. And although our workforce, our employment rate is so great, everything's going really well. That really does point to a recession, and that's due to how much debt the average household has. So I am on a mission to educate and inspire for people to be able to manage their debt, pay off their debt most cost effectively. So those that know me, I've been in the mortgage business for 17 years, super passionate about mortgage planning, debt consolidation, debt planning, and making sure that people live the life that they want while saving and preparing for the life that they want during retirement. And that looks different for everyone, but I'll tell you that, the average person that, comes in and sits down and we go over an application is carrying a lot of debt, very little assets, and that is a big concern. And the reason that that's a big concern is although it's great right now and unemployment rates are really great and everybody's doing, really well, there is going to be a downturn, and most people aren't going to be able to afford the debts that they have. We've gotten ourselves into a situation again where we have a lot of debt, and we have a lot of things, which I think things are great, but it's about managing it properly, about having the proper finances and having a plan for your finances. Most people don't have an actual itemized expense and income sheet showing how much income they have coming in, how much expenses they have going out, and where everything is going. And so I am super excited to talk about this. And please reach out to me if you have specific questions. Even if you don't need a mortgage, let me know. I want to be a resource for you. Like I said, I am super passionate about getting people out of debt so that we don't end up in another situation where people are having to lose things, and including impacting their credit because they can't afford things. So that is the number one issue that causes divorce. I'm also a certified divorce lender, and this is a huge thing around divorce too, is money. With stress and people worry and concern, and I want to make sure that I have an impact, and my impact is not just putting people in the right mortgages, but also helping people manage their finances. And I live this, and so for me, I'm excited to go over this. So we're going to get started here. So as you can see here on here, this is a debt reduction calculator. And so for people that have a lot of debt, this is something that we'll walk through and look at, because although I may be able to qualify you for your home, I don't think that sometimes people should buy a home. And so we'll have a conversation about debt and expectations and, what you can do moving forward. And here's why. Here's the average household. So let's just take an average household. Somebody has a credit card. Let's just say they have a $4,400 balance, 13% interest rate. Their minimum payment is $50. They have an auto loan. They owe still $14,500. Interest rate's 4.99. Their payment's $220. They have another credit card, $9,000 they owe on it. Interest rate's 13.5. Payments $110. Student loan, $12,000, 4%. Payments $75. Now I'm being super. This is super conservative for the average person. So I'm using pretty conservative numbers. I'll bet you if you look at your credit card statements, you're probably teetering on the side of, 18%, 17%, which is much higher than here. But I want to make sure that people have realistic numbers. And, if you happen to have a lower interest rate, I want it to make sense for you too. So as you can see here, if we scroll down, that means that you owe in debts, not including housing, not including groceries, gas, all that other stuff, just these main debts that you owe $39,900. Okay, and your minimum payments, you're paying $455. Most people are averaging just paying that $455 each month. Sometimes put an extra $10 or $20 or something of that nature, but you're pretty much making minimum payments. If you're not, congratulations, you're making a step above what most people are. But let's just say that you're paying $455. So right now you're paying the $455 a month. If we scroll down here, that means by the time you get this paid off, making the minimum payments, you have paid $20,367 in interest. What's even worse is if you look here, your last debt is not paid off till December 2030. And I pause for a minute because we don't really think about this. We're in a society where it's very instant gratification, and out of sight, out of mind. We're not really paying attention to that $100 that we're paying in interest each month. We have to have that thing. And don't get me wrong, I think sometimes we need to use our credit cards, and there's good debt. Student loans is good debt. Having to get your car fixed because we didn't have savings, you got to get to work. You got to get your kids to school. So totally think there's times where you're going to have to use it. But again, it's thinking about what's the cost. What's the cost for that? So just normal situation, pay minimum payments, you're going to have paid $20,000 extra on top of what you charged on the cards and what you bought. And you're not going to have it paid off till December 2030. So what do we do about this? Really, it's getting clear on our finances. So I would encourage you to sit down. Let's look at the last 2 months, your bank statements. I want you to take a couple different highlighters. I want you to highlight things that are non-negotiable, meaning, I have to eat. I have to, have a car payment because I got to get to work. Things that are, your mandatory expenses that you have to pay out each month. Then take a different highlighter, and I want you to highlight things that are like, well, they're not mandatory, but I really kind of in between that want and need. And then I want you to take another highlighter and highlight the things that are like, okay, this is strictly things that I want and things that I could do without. And then you can kind of get an idea of the last 2 months average of what you're spending and things that are, yes, I have to have this, or things that I say they're a need, but they're kind of a want to, and then things that are what. And we really need to get clear on this to know what our outgoing expenses are, but also need to get clear on what is our income. Most people don't know how much income that they're actually bringing home. So looking at your income, so go look at your direct deposits, your check, however you get your money, start telling that for 2 months divided by 2, what's your average income that you bring home? Not gross, not before taxes, but what do you actually bring home? So you're going to take your bring home, you're going to take these are absolutely necessary, and maybe a couple of I'm going to say they're necessary, but they're kind of wants that I want, that I need in my budget. Then the extra is your expendable cash. So that's how much extra you have each month. And that's what's going to help us get into this planning. So first strategy, you don't have any other way to, come up with money. And you realize, what, I have extra $200 a month that I could put towards this debt. So if we take this and we go into the initial snowball here, we put, okay, we're going to pay the $455, but we're also going to pay $200 extra each month. So what we're going to do is, as you can see here, I've custom and I put in here different numberings to find out what are we going to pay off first. A couple different rule of thumbs on this, and I like doing custom, and here's why. Snowball effect says, you're going to pay the lowest balance first. Avalanche says you're going to pay the highest interest first. I believe there's a combination of two. I think that, yes, although you're going to save the most in interest if you go with highest interest first, most people are going to stick with it because you don't have the gratification, because typically the highest interest rate are longer term loans. So how are you going to feel if you're paying extra towards a 60-month auto loan? You're not going to feel that great. We need those little micro wins in order for us to feel really, amazing and keep with something. It's just like going to the gym. You need the micro wins. You need to see that you're inching down on the scale, or that you're getting bigger in your weight, or, your muscles, or whatever it is. You need those micro wins, because you're not going to go to the gym for 3 months with no results. I mean, yeah, you're paying down your balance, but not, something that's tangible in that minute that you feel really great about. So doing it this way, I say, let's mix it up. Let's start with lowest cards, but then we'll tag in the interest rate. So we kind of do like a fluctuation of both. So for instance, this one, I'm going to put that we're paying off the cards first, and those are the highest interest rates. So really it's kind of, the avalanche effects as well, and the snowball effect. But in other situations where there's a lot of little ones, even if they're a lower interest rate, it would make sense to pay those off first so that you feel amazing. And you should show, gratitude and be like, I'm awesome, I paid this off, because that's going to encourage your body, encourage your mind to keep going with it. It's a psychological thing as much as it is just a physical spending thing. So we got to play with both. So in this situation, you can see first we would pay off that, the credit card that's the lowest. So you can see the interest rate is actually lower than the other credit card. But again, we want to get those micro wins so we start getting in the routine and feeling really good about it. So we're going to pay that one off first with the extra spending. So follow me here. $455 is your minimum payments. You're still going to pay the minimum payments on everything. You're going to take the extra $200 and apply it towards credit card number 1 until credit card number 1 is paid off. Then when credit card number 1 is paid off, you're going to apply that extra $200 in addition to the minimum payment onto credit card number 2, and then to auto loan number 1, and to student loan number 1. So in this situation, by doing this, as you can see, so let's go back and see. All right. And we're going to do the custom here. Okay, so you have your snowball effect here. And then we're going to go in and we're going to pay $655 a month. Which means that our snowball effect, which is the $200 that we're going to pay each month now, is going to be paid. And now look at this. The total interest just from you paying the extra $200 a month to get those paid off, look how low that goes. $86.88 versus over $20,000. So that little extra payment that you can find in your budget that you can just not have, you know, the extra Starbucks, eating out, whatever it is that you're finding that you're spending your money on, if you can just eliminate those and pay the extra $200 a month, you've already saved, what is that, almost $14,000 just in interest. And you no longer are paying off in 2030, you're paying off in February 2026. So huge impact just by paying a little bit more. So I would encourage you to find out what is your outgoing expense, what is your income, any additional you want to start doing that additional payment towards. Like I said, start with the lowest card, get that paid off and go on to the next one. What does that look like? Let's go to the payment schedule here so you can see. So this is saying if we paid that minimum payment plus the additional $200. So you can see here how it's going to work. So we start, let's just say December 2019, we're paying all the minimum payments, plus we're paying the extra $200. You can see here it's being applied towards credit card number one. Then July 2021, that credit card is now paid off. Now the extra additional is going to go to credit card number two. So you can see here it changes from you paying that minimum payment to credit card number two. Now you're putting that extra money to the credit card number two once credit card number one's paid off. Now you're paying it towards then. Now you're paid off in December 2023. Now it's going on to the next debt. So you can see how it's being applied. And then eventually here, you can see February 2026, it's paid off. Now I know when you're looking at this, you can get, most people tend to look at it and they don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to deal with it. But it's really important that we get clear and see what it's doing and what it looks like, because the problem is, again, we're in such an epidemic where people continue down this path. And then now we're using a credit card to pay another credit card. And so we're paying for, you know, daily living expenses. So we got to get really, really, you know, clear that we have to get tough with ourselves a little bit and say, okay, I've created this, but I can also get out of it and create a plan of what I can afford. Now, another thing, so this is most important to sit down and do and start doing it right away. Compound interest is huge, how much you're going to be spending. And I'll tell you, as you start paying off that first debt, it becomes infectious and contagious, and you just want to keep paying off stuff. And then you get to a point where you pay off everything. You're like, oh my God, now I want to see it in my savings. Amazing, amazing things come from it. But the other thing that I want to show you that a lot of people don't realize too is utilizing assets that you have that you may be able to use to get this paid off sooner. Here's what I mean. Let's say you have a 401k loan or another avenue of where you can get a loan at a low interest rate for, you know, a 5-year term. So for instance, a lot of 401k retirement accounts, you could take a loan. Now, I do not advise withdrawing funds. You do not want to take away from your retirement. You need to build your retirement, or you're not going to be in a place where you're going to be able to retire. And Social Security, yeah, I think it's still going to be there for our generation, but it's probably going to be less, and it's not going to be enough to survive. I can't tell you how many times I deal with people that come in and all they're living on is Social Security, and it's really sad. So I want to educate you. I want to encourage you to start taking control of today for your future. And that doesn't mean not having a good time, not enjoying life. I mean, it just means working smart, making enough money to supply what you want in your life and to prepare for your future. So if you have a 401k or retirement loan, and you could take a loan, not a withdrawal, that means that you're just borrowing and you're going to be paying it back. So you're not withdrawing, and you're still going to be contributing to your retirement as you go forward. So let's say that you have $15,000 that you could take from your 401k, and it's at a 5% interest rate at a 5-year term. So that makes your payment $283.06. So let's now take that $15,000. We're going to apply it to the original debts that we just went over in the same scenario. So we're paying off the 2 credit cards. We're taking the extra $1,600 and we're paying it towards the auto loan. Now this is where we're at. So what we're going to do first, again, is we're going to pay off the auto loan. So although the interest rate on the auto loan is almost the same as the 401k loan, we're going to first contribute towards that because it is a shorter term and we can get that paid off before we can get the 401k paid off. And then the student loan you have there too. I put the student loan as last because it is still tax deductible and it's a lower interest rate. So we want to get our 401k paid back so that it's working for us as well. So if we go this direction and we're going to pay off the auto loan, and then we're going to pay off the 401k loan, and then we're going to pay off the student loan, what does that look like? And let's say that we have the same outgoing expense. So let's go back here. So here we're going to pay $655, right? So let's say we're still going to pay $655. So we're still paying $655 towards the total debt. So that means our minimum payments we're going to be paying on these three is $578. The extra $76.94 we're going to be applying towards the auto loan number one, in addition to the minimum payment. So if we do that, what does that look like? So if you look down below, you're going to see here that now during this time frame, we're only going to pay $5,551 in interest. Mind you, we started at $20,000 with all of the debts, and then we ended up at, I think it was just about $9,000 if we contribute $655 towards the debts. But if we have this source that we can use, we're going to cut off even more and only have $5,551 in debt interest that we're going to pay. And everything's paid off November 2020. I'm blown. So these are some of the hacks and strategies that we can look at. I mean, I'm all about figuring out what's going to be most cost-effective strategies that's going to help you be successful. Now, I do want to mention on here that a couple other important things that I think we need to think about when we have debts. The first thing is, of course, don't close the credit cards. Unless you have an annual payment that you're making, if you close the credit card, it's going to hurt your credit. So leave the credit card open unless you're in a position where you really can't manage your credit cards and you are charging them. And, I've encouraged, seeking out some, help around mindset and money and all that kind of stuff, of course, to fix that problem so that you can be in a good position. But if you close the credit cards, it's going to hurt your credit. If you close more than one a year, it's going to start impacting you. So you don't really want to close the cards on revolving credit cards. Now, if it's auto loan, installment loan, which means that you have a set time frame that you have it loan, once it's paid off, it's going to close. That's normal. That's going to happen. But if you have loans or lines of credit where you don't have to close them, you don't have that minimum payment that you had to pay or annual payment, leave them open because it can hurt your credit, and that's not the intention either. We don't want to hurt your credit. So also another thing is you want to make sure that you have a cushion in savings, and you want to make sure that you're contributing towards retirement as well, because those are really important factors. Now, getting debt paid off is super important. You want to have a small cushion in your savings. The rest of your money needs to start going towards debt to get that paid off. But you don't want to be in a position where you don't have any backup money, because if something does come up, guess what? You're back to charging the credit cards as well. So I hope that this gives you a little bit more understanding around how much you're paying in credit card debt interest, or just debt interest, period, and some strategies and avenues that you may not have been aware of that you can use to get you paid off even sooner. There are a lot of, debt calculators that you can find online. This one I've paid for because I love. It lets me go in and kind of maneuver things that makes most sense. But really, the basics, as long as you know, is, hey, I have a lot of debt. I need to manage my money, figure out how much money I have extra outgoing, and start applying that towards credit cards. You can't lose. So even if you just start with that principle, you're doing great. If you don't have an avenue to get a loan at a lower interest rate, then just start putting as much as you can, like we just went over, towards the credit cards that are there. Debt consolidation, we could talk about that. If it's a debt consolidation where it's not going to negatively hurt you or show, as a less than paid full type account, they can be good. The problem with debt consolidation is if you plan to do anything where you need your credit checked within the next year or so, is usually what happens is they have the debt consolidation, opens up a new line. Whenever you open a new line of credit, it's actually going to hurt your credit for a while, and the balance to limit ratio is higher, so that actually drops your credit for a little while as well. So I don't think that the debt consolidation loans are bad. I just think that it's timing and the way that you do it. But it is, something that you can look at, as long as it's not going to hurt something that you plan on doing, such as buying a house or a car loan or something like that within the next year or so. If you do plan on doing that, then I would highly suggest that you reach out to a mortgage specialist such as myself and make sure it's not going to be something that's going to hinder you going forward on there as well. But I am your mortgage mom, bringing you some information around finances, credit, also, of course, mortgage planning with purchase, refinance. So if you ever need help, please reach out.